It's been 72 days when this video drops from when the Bucks won Game 6 and clinched their first NBA championship in 50 years. And now the new season is finally upon us. Yo, welcome back to the checkup where we talk hoops and hoops only. And as you can see by the title, we're going to be making these NBA standing predictions for both the Eastern and the Western Conference for this season. Now, the video is going to be fairly long, so we're going to break it up into Eastern Conference for this one and Western Conference next video. Nonetheless, let's kick right off with it. So obviously there are lots of new faces on new teams, which will play a factor into these predictions. And let's start off with the 11 through 15 seeds in the Eastern Conference. The bottom half at least. Now at number 11, I've got the Toronto Raptors, who have a solid mix of young talent and guys in their primes like Fred VanVleet, who just signed a contract last offseason. And then you got Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby, who are also good players as well to go along. They've been through, big experiences, finals games, big moments. They know what it's like. But then you also got the young players, like 4th overall pick Scotty Barnes, who they just drafted. Malachi Flynn, who's a second-year guard. I like him a lot. I've liked him since he came out of San Diego State. And then you got Gary Trent Jr., who came from the Norman Powell deal, Precious Achiuwa from the Lowry deal, and so on. The Raptors, in my opinion, are going to be one of those teams that are super competitive, but won't pull out the wins at the end, leading to them missing the play-in and being the 11th seed in the Eastern Conference. At number 12, we've got the Washington Wizards, who did lose Russell Westbrook this offseason in exchange for solid players like Kyle Kuzma, KCP, Montrezl Harrell. And we got to remember, Kyle Kuzma is still a solid young player. Montrezl Harrell was a 6th man of the year about 2 years ago, and KCP can hit the three at an efficient level. So they got guys. The thing is, Bradley Beal's their franchise player. Don't get me wrong, good player, I like him. Second leading scorer last year in the league. But the Wizards are going to be one of the worst defensive teams yet again. And, don't get me wrong, they'll put up points and they'll be fun to watch, especially getting Spencer Dinwiddie into the mix, him running the show. I think they'll put up a lot of points. But unfortunately, no offense to Wizards fans, they'll be a bad team this season once again. And probably will have Bradley Beal's last season with the team. I think they have to force him out at some point and try to get some young talent for him while he's still in his prime. Now at number 13, I decided to put the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now don't get me wrong, they did get better with their young talent and can be decent in the future. I like their pieces, more specifically Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, and Evan Mobley, who they just drafted 3rd overall. But they are still too young to win now, and like I said, they are picking up good young players. They got good young players. They're going in the right direction with moves like signing a young power forward in Lauri Markkanen, who I think is solid. He'll be a good bench player for them as well. I just think they need to get rid of Kevin Love, but they'll probably have to buy him out because nobody in this world is trading for Kevin Love, especially right now in his career. It's not happening. With that contract, they're going to have to buy him out. And Cleveland's just going to have to keep building after that. Maybe Cleveland can be in the playoffs a couple years from now, but it for sure won't be this year. For number 14, we got the Detroit Pistons, who just picked 1st overall last year and picked Oklahoma State star Cade Cunningham. Lots of expectations for him as a player. But like Cleveland, I said Detroit's young talent is just not going to win them a playoff spot yet. They're way too young. And basically, it's a rookie year for Killian Hayes as well, he was out for a majority of last season. Then you got Sadiq Bey, who I like, solid player, Isaiah Stewart, good players. Jeremy Grant is in his prime years, but Detroit doesn't have an official guy to take them to the playoffs, not yet at least. Now, can they be a playoff team in the future, 4 or 5 years down the road, depending on Cade's development, maybe even sooner? Maybe. But, like I said with Cleveland, they're not a playoff team this season. Absolutely not. Now at the bottom of the East, we got the Orlando Magic, and this one I felt was like a no doubt type of thing. I mean, you look at their roster, they sold house during the deadline. They traded their 3 best players, Aaron Gordon, Nikola Vucevic, and Evan Fournier, to all different teams for young pieces, and they went full-on rebuild mode. Now, they've got nice building blocks with Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs, who they drafted 4th overall, 5th overall, who I really like, and I think he's going to be a really good player for them. And then you got Jonathan Isaac, who's a solid player, and, let's get rid of the beliefs and what they believe in. Nobody cares. Jonathan Isaac, as a basketball player, has potential. And, also, don't sleep on Wendell Carter this year, who played for Chicago, and he's decent. Now he's on a young team. They fit the style. Maybe he can have a breakout year in Orlando. But Orlando is literally a baby team. They have no chance at all of being an A seed, or even a play-in team this season. It's just not going to happen. Now for the top 10 seeds, let's go with all these teams who are going to be either fighting for a playoff spot or confirmed in playoff spots in the East. Here they are at number 10. We got the Charlotte Hornets, who last season showed lots of promise, led by LaMelo Ball, who won Rookie of the Year last year, with help from other young guys like Terry Rozier and Miles Bridges, who stamped their name into the league as really good young players. Terry Rozier put up 20 points per game. Miles Bridges made a highlight reel. But they came up short in the play-in game versus Indiana, and I think history is going to repeat themselves as they barely improved. I like the Kelly Oubre move, but it's not like they made moves that wowed me. Now, don't get me wrong, they'll be a really fun team to watch, but they're about a move or two away from being a playoff team in the improved Eastern Conference. Now, at the deadline, if they make a certain move that changes my mind, we'll make a video on it. But this is preseason, so, we can't go with that yet. Right now, Charlotte Hornets, number 10 seed in the Eastern Conference. At number 9, I've got the Indiana Pacers, who will be better on the court compared to last year's dysfunctional team. They've got Domantas Sabonis. They've got other key good players like Malcolm Brogdon, Miles Turner, and others, but Indiana might not be good enough to make the playoffs. But they will definitely be close, record-wise at least, to being in that top 8, especially with new head coach Rick Carlisle taking over. But if injuries become a problem like last year for guys like TJ Warren, who's still out, and I just don't see it happening, which is why I have them missing the playoffs at 9. But like I said, they'll be fighting, and they'll be close, but I don't think they'll make the cut. Now let's get to a fun team that everybody's been talking about all offseason, and that is the Chicago Bulls, who I have at number 8. Now, some people are overhyping this team to be 4 or 5 seed. I'm not going to put them there yet. Are they a playoff team? I think so. Now, if you look at their team, they're going in the right direction for sure. The new front office has improved that team so much compared to 2018, 2019. They're way more improved, especially from last year on paper at least, with Lonzo Ball running the point, DeMar DeRozan being the fellow wing player next to Zach LaVine, who just is coming off his best season, and also having one of the best centers in the league in Nikola Vucevic, who they picked up during the deadline. But I think bench play and defense might be an issue for this Bulls team. They're really, they don't have a lot of good players off the bench. Alex Caruso, solid. Derrick Jones Jr., solid, but these are not, Derrick Roses, Jordan Clarksons, that type of nature. These are eighth men who are your top feature guys off the bench for this team. So I think they'll be an 8 seed. They'll probably be clinging on for dear life at the end of the season, which is what I think they'll be. They'll be fighting with Indiana all year, I think. But I think they'll grab that 8 seed for sure, though. Now for the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference, we've got the Boston Celtics, who still have their 2 young stars in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. But I think their roster, even though it's slightly better, I think they have a defensive problem, and that's in the big man position. They've got an old Al Horford. They've got an undersized Robert Williams, who I like. And they got a slow foot Enes Kanter. I like Enes Kanter, but we all know this man don't play defense. And these are their rotational bigs. Now, offensively, the Celtics are going to put up big numbers. But if injuries strike like they did last year for this team, then Boston is going to be fighting. And this is why I have the Celtics being the 7th seed this season once again. Now with the 6th seed, I decided to put the 76ers, who are crumbling right now as we speak. And this is why they're 6th and not 3rd. Because I don't know what they're going to get for Ben Simmons. I don't think you can rely on Joel Embiid carrying the load all season, putting that much pressure on him. He's eventually going to get hurt. Tobias Harris being the Batman while he's hurt is not going to be a good thing. He's a solid player, but I don't know. I'm not too sure about him being the number 1 right now. Now, I don't think this is a recipe for a top 3 seed, considering they picked up no real big names to help out the squad. Andre Drummond will get boards, but he ain't going to give you no 30 points every night like Embiid is. He'll give you an occasional game like that, but it's not going to be to the Embiid degree. It's not going to be him shooting jumpers, spacing the floor. He was a negative for the Lakers last season, so it's not a big move in my opinion. And the young guys just aren't ready to make the Sixers title contenders this season. Even though I like Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle, they're just not ready to do it yet. And now at number 5, we've got the New York Knicks, who made some improvements this offseason, swapping Elfrid Payton, who was literally the worst starting point guard in the NBA last year, and Reggie Bullock for the former Boston backcourt last year, and Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier, who are a for sure improvement talent-wise. Now, they did take a little step back defensively losing those guys, but if you saw the playoffs, you know they badly needed bucket getters. We saw it when Randle got triple teamed basically by the Hawks. They had a whole game plan for Randle, and you couldn't rely on all the other guys to help. RJ Barrett couldn't help. He's a young too as well, so couldn't rely on him to do nothing crazy, and they lost in 5 games. But with these new additions and bringing the core bench pieces back, the Knicks are top 5 seed in the East in my book as of now, unless injuries strike for Kemba Walker, which I hope it doesn't. But if injuries strike for the Knicks roster, then we might have to do a little swapping. But as of right now, they're a top 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. And now capping out the 4th spot, I have to go with the Atlanta Hawks. You guys probably thought I forgot, but no, I didn't. The Hawks, I called it last year, were going to be nice. Not that I think they'd be this good, Eastern Conference Finals, and it happened this fast, no. But I knew it would happen at some point. Led by $200 million man Trae Young, again, that big bag now, the Hawks are primed to be a perennial playoff team in the East for years to come, especially with the young core besides Trae being one of the top young cores in the league. The Hawks are going to be a team to be reckoned with and could be a top 3 seed next season after this one. We got to watch out, because if they make some moves, the Hawks are going to be scary. Now for the top 3 best teams in the Eastern Conference. At number 3, we've got the Miami Heat, who made some solid moves to improve the roster, signing Kyle Lowry, who fits the Heat mold perfectly, along with PJ Tucker and Markieff Morris. I think the Heat are going to be a top defensive team this year with the big 3 of Lowry, Butler, and Adebayo. All defensive, player of the year candidates. Not Lowry, more so, but Butler and Adebayo, definitely. Also, Miami has a solid bench unit with Tyler Hero and Oladipo leading the way. If Oladipo can stay healthy, that's another good wing defender and scorer. So I think Miami will be a gritty team, and they'll put up some points, which is why Miami is a top 3 seed for me in the Eastern Conference this season. Now we get into this top 2. At number 2, I've got the Brooklyn Nets, who are my title favorites, but are not the number 1 seed favorites, because there are for sure durability issues on this team, and now with the uncertainty of Kyrie Irving, we for sure don't know what's going to happen. But Brooklyn is too talented not to be a top 2 seed in this conference. With KD, Kyrie, and Harden being the best big 3 in the NBA, and with additional depth this season compared to last year, it's pretty simple. The Nets are a guaranteed top 2 seed and are the favorites to win the title this year. Now for the best team in the Eastern Conference, it only leaves one more option, and that is the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks, who, with Giannis leading the way, will be a dominant regular season team. Giannis will be an MVP candidate. Milwaukee still has some depth at each position, with Middleton and Holiday also by Giannis' side for another year, more chemistry, and they got that confidence to defend the crown this year. The Bucks will be on a mission, and this is why they're going to finish with the best record in the Eastern Conference this season. Anyways, that's going to do it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, check out my podcast, link in the description. This has been the Checkup, where we talk hoops and hoops only. And I'll see y'all in the next one when I drop this Western Conference banger tomorrow. Peace.